Hello, this is Rodney Conner from the TechSpot vCast. This time I got sent the LG G3, this lovely little device. Let me move my hand here. This little device is amazing, and I'm going to give a disclaimer now. I'm going to seem biased probably in this review, partially because I sort of am, but not intentionally. I have been an LG products fan for a long time, and I even own one of their microwaves in the kitchen there. So it's nothing new to me to own an LG product, or in this case, handle an LG product. And well, they impressed me just initially, which is what this part of the video is, as basically the initial impression, and it was quite good, I have to say. When I first took it out of the box, which I should mention because I mentioned it in the review, I was even impressed just by the packaging. I compared them actually to Apple just with their thought process, and that comes all the way down to the part where you can't see it in the video, but there's this kind of gold-like covering here, and they actually make you have to turn the box a little bit to read it. And I felt like maybe that was slick on their part, whether it's really real or not, or it was meant to be that way, who knows. But anyway, back to the real important stuff, is this lovely phone. The one thing I thought was neat, okay, this way, pretty normal phone, but then can't drop the phone I don't own. Let me put it right in my eyes there just because that looks cool. This curved back, it gives it this more even feel to when you're holding it. You don't have the edges that seem like maybe they're causing it to fall out of your hands. Just lets it fit right in the palm. So that is the initial impression that I had for the LG G3. Okay, for the specifications for the LG G3, I got to start off right off with the processor. It's an Snapdragon 801 quad-core processor. They say this is the only one I've seen this way. They write that it's up to 2.5 gigahertz. RAM is 3 gigabytes, backing up that quad-core processor. Internal space, 32 gigabytes of internal memory, expandable with a micro SD card up to 128 gigabytes. That really gives you some room, folks. I don't even know how to explain that any better. The screen size, here's where we get into the stuff that I really like. The screen size, 5.5 inches. That's just about perfect, I think. Any bigger than that starts getting a little too much, in my opinion. The screen itself, resolution 2560 by 1440, which they call Quad HD. And this is from LG. The battery life is, well, the battery itself, 3000 milliamp hour battery. It is removable. However, I do have to say that just by looking at this phone, it sure is hard to tell that this back is removable, which is good. Actually, both good and bad, because the folks that are too impatient to look up how to take it off, they're going to end up probably busting the back of the phone, just as a thought anyway. LG claims that the battery, at least probably when it's brand new, can support up to 21 hours talk time. That's a lot of talking, people. That's even more texting, considering that's what most people do anymore. The camera. This is probably my favorite part. The camera. 13 megapixel rear-facing camera, which features laser autofocus, optical image stabilization, and you get somewhat of an example of that in my demo video, where I had it, like in my demo video, I had it mounted up in a windshield of the car, and the bouncing of the car, you could see it was trying to keep up, but the car was going 45 miles an hour, and the bouncing, it couldn't keep up. So I still wouldn't call that a bad thing, because again, the car's going 45 miles an hour and it's bouncing in that junky $5 windshield mount, so it didn't have a lot of mercy to give. Also, there's a dual LED flash on the back of that, just like there is on the iPhone 5S. And also, I can't forget the front-facing camera, not nearly as great as the back, 2.1 megapixel on it. Now back to the back camera for video capability. It can record up to a resolution of 3,840 by 2,160. For those tech geeks, you know that's 4K. However, I could never find how to do it, turn it on. After a little research, it sounds like it requires a software modification or some third-party software, of which neither I really can do with a AT&T owned phone. This is just a review device I've been sent, so that I could not do. However, the default resolution is 1920 by 1080 or full HD. Still quite clear. I didn't have any complaints. Again, in the demo video, you can see that. The last part of the specifications, just communications devices that are built in. First off, 4G LTE, which is pretty standard now. Of course, it has Wi-Fi, but every phone does now. I should mention, though, that this one has all of the current standards for Wi-Fi, A, B, G, and the newer AC. And lastly, you've got the Bluetooth, of course, 4.0, so it's its latest edition. Hotspot capabilities also of up to 8 devices. Okay, and now for the visual demonstration of the LG G3. I do apologize for this camera angle. As you can see, there's my lovely tripod, and hi, look, you can see me in the reflection. This is, this is about the best I can do for right now, but it's working out pretty well. Okay, so I just want to start off with something and I found that was different as far as to this phone specifically. LG put in what's called a knock code instead of that greasy pattern where you scrub all over the face and everybody can see what it is. Just do a preset pattern, and I think I may have I've goofed it up over time here because I keep hitting in the wrong spot. There we go. If you hit it just right spot, I think I changed it actually, to be honest now. Once you hit it the right way, you are revealed to one beautiful looking phone. I apologize for the light again. It's not the best. Let's see if there we go. That's a little better. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to demonstrate, just because this phone specifically, I mean, most phones that I've had so far are pretty much the same, but this one, just by the quick browsing, you see, I know this isn't much of anything, it's just through the basic pages. That's nothing, but you get into the apps themselves, this thing, I mean, look at it, keeps right up with me. No stutter whatsoever. And even the best phones have a hard time with that sometimes. One thing I was going to show, if we can find it, here we go, the gallery here. The video that I was talking about earlier, I know, again, since we're watching this video through a video, you're not going to get quite what we were looking for, but I can give you the general idea. So let's start back here at the beginning. And you can see what kind of presentation this thing has for any other type of video playback.
Hi, this is Rodney Conner from the vCast.
It's extremely clear, considering the fact, again, like I mentioned before, this video was recorded going 45 miles an hour, and that, well, the device has the optical image stabilization. It did quite well, and for the playback version, or purpose, it was crystal clear. That video was recorded in full HD, and it played back every bit of that it could give. Okay, now it's time for the last segment of the review, the likes and dislikes. I'll start with the dislikes first, mostly because it's a pretty short subject. The only thing I really could find that I could really critique in any way, in a negative fashion, would be the call quality. It was mediocre, I guess I should say. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was right in the middle, pretty much like every other phone I've done. I had a couple of times where basically the best way I can test, since it's Usually just I don't have a whole groupie of friends. They can call and say, man, this sounds like some super high definition audio. I don't have those kind of friends like some other reviewers do on the internet. Basically, I carry around my iPhone 5S, and I carry around the review device, in this case the LG G3. And I do that. Can you hear me now? Basically back and forth, just monitoring and listening to the response and the clarity between the two sides. And I did notice that I have AT&T phone here, AT&T phone here, and somehow sometimes the audio coming back to this device was just it crumpled up sometimes. It lost a little bit of audio. And of course, there's always going to be one person out there that's going to say, well, what if it was your iPhone? So I did take that out of the equation, and while I was at home at one day, I used a landline phone. Same situation, and I was in the same area, so the cell phone reception didn't really change. So I took that out of the equation. So don't go knock on me on that, because that's already out. In general, that is all I really have for dislikes. The likes, on the other hand, it's a longer list. First off, I already mentioned how much I like the screen. One thing I didn't mention is the super thin bezel. I mean, look how much screen versus phone. There's like a 1/8 inch. Well, a little more. It's about just it's close. I'm stuttering like I'm a kid at the candy store, but it's real close to. It's a little over an eighth, or I'm sorry, yeah, a little over an eighth of an inch. It's pretty neat. It's about a 1/4 inch. And even on the top, it still has room for the camera, the little small camera, the earpiece, and the basics up there. And down at the bottom, of course, there's no buttons. The LG is good for that. The only buttons that the entire phone has is these three back here, the up, down, and the power button in the middle. Other than that, you use gestures and all kinds of things on that. You should read my full review, because I really go in depth on some of the neat features that I found. However, I think a written review is more worthy than trying to go over it in a video, because for some reason I am like scared of the camera, I guess. I don't know. Who knows? I miss things. So all the good details are in my written review, of which the link should be down below there. One of the other things I did want to mention, of course, besides the bezel, and if I have such a problem, this knock code I mentioned before, and to my discretion, or poorly phrased, this knock code has worked great up until today. So I wonder if maybe it's just me, possibly. So ignore that. It has worked perfectly. And also, too, I call it a knock code because they actually want you to knock. Look at that, it worked. See? So if you do it right, like it's intended, it probably will work. And I liked that one because it reminded me of the House of Cards, Frank Underwood, his signature knock he does on the table. That just was neat. One of my other good likes, or better likes, I should say, this phone has only see if I can get the glare to go away. Here it is. This is the external speaker for this phone. And like another reviewer that I found on the internet, I basically carry around my iPhone 5S and this guy. And this tiny little thing outperforms my iPhone. I will admit that outright. It's pretty loud, actually. It can get loud, I should say, and it clear. It doesn't get loud and noisy. It gets loud and stays clarified, and good sounding music. And it had some rich body to that music too. It wasn't that tinny sound that a lot of these tiny little device speakers have. And last thing I really have that I could have to definitely say is a like for me would be the storage space. You can, well, actually I should say the removable back, because again, my comparison iPhone and the LG, you cannot remove the back off the iPhone, and this phone allows you the ability to, one, replace a battery when it goes bad, and you can also add up to 128 gigabytes of storage space that I don't have in my iPhone. So I'm going to be sad when I send this back today. Other than that, that's pretty much my likes and dislikes. I think that's it for the LG G3. Thank you for watching. I'm Rodney Conner from the TechSpot vCast.